Welcome everyone to our yoga class. Find a nice comfortable spot, so rock a little bit from side to side to make sure you feel really balanced. And let's just close our eyes for a minute and take a few breaths and let go of anything that you have planned for the future and just bring yourself to this moment now. Notice the sound of your breath. Try to relax any tension you feel in your body. Breathe deeply, so every time you inhale, your abdomen expands, and on your exhale, you're drawing it in slightly. So it's an active breath. You can open your eyes now, and we're going to start with a chant. And chanting can help open up your vocal cords. It helps to relax your body and also helps with your lungs. And so these are the words we're going to use are similar to our vowels, A, E, I, O, U, but we're going to do sa, ta, na, ma. And with each word that we're saying, we're touching our, so I will go sa to my pinky little fingers, ta to my ring fingers, na to my middle finger, sa, ta, na, ma to my pointers. So we're just going to do that, activating the nerves in our fingers while we do that. It's also a little bit of a brain work because you have to think about the word you're saying, plus having your hands participate in this. And your hands can rest comfortably on your thighs, and we'll start. So sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. And if you can chant with me at your house so that you're opening up your vocal cords. Sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. One more time. Sa, loud, sa, ta, na, ma. And relax your hands down. And let's move our back a little bit away from the chair. And we're going to work with our feet. And we're going to start with pressing into the base of your toes. So you want this part of your toe where your toes meet your foot to press into the earth, and you're going to lift your heels and try to spread your toes so that you're stretching the fascia in your feet. So from the side, it looks kind of like Barbie feet. You have your feet, your toes are pressing down, your heels are up. And so really press into that big toe mound. Try to balance evenly across the base of your toes. If you have a little arthritis, be gentle with yourself so that you don't aggravate that. Let's bring our heels down. Maybe bring your heels a little bit forward down. We're going to lift both feet up. So you're pressing your heels into the earth. When you press your heels down, you should feel a little activation in your thighs, maybe even in your core, and breathe. Really pressing the heels into the earth. And then release the heels, and let's do that again on our toes. So you're pressing your toes in. You have that Barbie foot going right now. And you're breathing, really pressing down again. When you're pressing, you should feel your thighs activating. Maybe your calves are activating. You might even feel it in your lower abdomen. Make sure you're breathing. And then let's take our heels, press our heels down, lift our toes up, really press into the earth, really ground down into the earth. And breathe. And then let's do this a few times, but we're going to alternate now. So we're going to press our right toes. We're lifting our right foot. So I have Barbie foot on my right side, and then I'm pressing my heel down on my left side. And breathe. And then we're going to alternate. I'm going to press my right heel down, and I'm pressing into my left toes. toes. So my right toes are lifted and my left heel is lifted. And breathe. And then we're gonna change sides. I'm pressing into my right toes and my left heel. So my right toes are pressing down, my left toes are rising. And then release that. And then let's just do a little marching in place. I like to march with giving my leg a little assist with the lift so that I'm stimulating the bottom of my feet when they slap the earth. So it's not a high lift because you don't want to really pound down. That would be kind of painful, but you're just stimulating all of those nerves in the bottom of your feet to awaken them. And then let's take our feet a little wider. So you're going to go as wide as you can. We're going to draw our right knee down. And you're going to need to be sitting forward on your chair to be able to get that release. So make sure you're forward on your chair. You can see that I'm right near the front of my chair. So right knee goes down, trying to stretch that leg. Come back up. Your left knee goes down. You might notice one side is tighter than the other. That's fine. That's why we do both sides. And then go to your right side. Make sure you're breathing, sitting tall. Come back up, go to your left side. Come back up, go to your right side. Come back up, and your left side. Come back up. And then now we're going to take the same movement, we're going to take it into our shoulders though. So legs are still wide. Hands are going to be on the insides of your thighs, and I'm going to take my right shoulder towards my left knee, and I'm pushing away on my right thigh so that I'm getting a little stretch in my inner thigh. I might feel a stretch through my back, through my side body, and you're breathing. And then you're going to inhale back up to center. And then let's take that to the left side. So again, now you're pressing with your left hand into your left thigh. You're leaning towards your right side with your left shoulder. You're breathing. Getting a nice stretch. Most of us have really tight adductors, which are our inner thighs. We really have tight, and our outside thighs are not as tight. So it's nice to stretch our inner thighs. One more time to the left. We're taking our right shoulder to our left, pressing it against that right thigh with our right hand. Come back up to center. Left shoulder towards your right thigh, pressing into that left thigh, pressing that left thigh away from you to get a little more stretch. Be gentle with yourself though. Make sure it's just the right amount of stretch, not too much. You don't want any pain, but you want to feel a little transformation going on. Inhale back to center, and then let's take our toes in, our heels in, our toes in, our heels in, and breathe. Now let's do some cat-cow because we're kind of working from the floor up to open our body and stretch it out. So we're going to inhale. I like to draw my elbows back, heart to the sky, my tailbone tips up. On my exhale, I'm rounding in, pressing my back towards the back of my chair, really stretching it out as much as I can. So inhale, shoulders back. I just turn sideways so you can see. And then exhale, I'm rounding in, really pressing my back of my back towards the back of the chair. Inhale, elbows back, heart rises. Exhale, round in. One more time. Inhale, heart rises, tip that tailbone up, really get a nice stretch. to the front of your body. Exhale, you're rounding in, really stretching through the back of your body. And then let's let your hands trace your your calves down to the earth, and just let your torso rest on your body for a moment and breathe. Let your hands ground down to the earth or rest on your feet. Breathe deep, full breaths. Feel your abdomen pressing against your thighs on your inhale. And your exhale, you can feel it withdrawing back into your body, your abdomen. It's a nice stretch for your lower back. Bring your hands to your knees. Press yourself back up to seated position. And inhale and exhale. And then let's be a little forward on our chair. You're going to stretch your right leg out. Foot is flexed. So you're getting a nice stretch. So you can see from the side, this is what it looks like as my right leg is stretched. Micro bend in your knee. You don't want to hyperextend it. You want to press into your heel, but you're drawing that hip into your, the thigh bone into your hip joint so that you're not hyperextending your knee, because that can be painful and it can lead for problems later if it's not painful now. Get really tall. We're going to inhale our arms up overhead. Exhale, you're going to swan dive forward, bring your arms behind you, flat back. You're leaning forward as far as you can. That's comfortable for you without bending your back. So you're not rounding in. I don't want you to round in. I want flat backs. So shoulders are back, the flat back, you go as low as you can. Then you inhale, bring your arms up forward, up overhead, palms together, thread the palms down through heart center. And let's take an inhale and an exhale, and inhale and an exhale. And let's inhale again. As we inhale, raise our arms up overhead. Our exhale, we're falling forward, swan diving down with a flat back, arms behind you, feeling a nice stretch behind your thigh. Inhale, bring your arms back up. Now you might be breathing between my cues for inhales and exhales. Palms together, bring your palms through heart center. So make sure that you still are breathing, because not everyone has deep breaths. Some people have more shallow, their breaths aren't able to hold as long. So you make sure you're just breathing in an even pace, that your inhales and exhales are matching each other. Let's do that again. We're gonna take a deep inhale, bring our arms up overhead, stretch really long. Exhale with a flat back, bring your arms behind you for that swan dive. You're going to just hold this for a few breaths. And you're going to inhale back up overhead, palms together, thread them down through heart center, and breathe. And we're going to do this one more time, but we're going to hold. When we do the swan dive forward, we're going to hold that for a count of 20 now. So we're going to inhale, arms up overhead. We're exhaling, bringing those arms behind us for that swan dive. We're holding that for 20, 19, 18, make sure you're breathing, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, bring those arms up overhead. Bring your palms together, thread them down through heart center, and breathe. And then let's pull that right leg in, and we're going to repeat this on the other side. If you have a chair, and remember, your blocks are always handy. If you have a chair that doesn't let you extend well, you can always put a block under there. If you can't, if you know, you might have not a hard chair, you might have a soft chair. So make sure you make accommodations for yourself. And if you have any questions, as always, I'm always here afterwards to answer any questions you have. So extend your left leg, foot is flexed, you're pressing that heel into the earth. You're isometrically drawing your hip bone into your thigh. You take a deep inhale, bring those arms up overhead. On your exhale, we're swan diving forward, arms come behind you. Take a few breaths here. And you're going to inhale, arms up overhead. Bring palms together. Exhale and breathe. Let's do that again. We're going to take a big inhale, arms up overhead, really stretching as long as you can stretch. Exhale, bring those arms behind you for that swan dive. We'll take a few breaths here. Make sure that you feel a nice stretch in the back of your thigh. You're going to inhale, bring those arms forward, come back up. You're keeping a flat back through all of this, palms together, thread palms through heart center, and breathe. So we really want to keep your back straight. And if you have any pain, then don't go as deep. You want to make sure you're not having any pain in your lower back. The stretch is supposed to be felt in your thigh, the back of your thigh, and you should feel some activation in your core while we do this. So again, we're going to inhale, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Lean into that pose, flat back. Breathe. Make sure you have no pain. Inhale, bring those arms forward, come back up, palms together, thread them through heart center, and we're going to do this one more time. And again, on this time when we do our swan dive, we're going to hold that stretch for a count of 20. So make sure, don't let that foot get lazy. Make sure that stays flexed and pulling towards you. We're going to take a deep inhale, bring those arms up overhead. Exhale, bring those arms down behind you. Swan dive towards that straight leg. We're going to hold this for 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Make sure you're breathing. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, arms up overhead. Bring hands to palm, thread down through heart center and breathe. And maybe make a little smile here, because yoga doesn't have to be all serious. We want to feel good and smile while we're participating in our class. And then bring that leg back in. And now we're going to work on our thighs and core a little bit, and we're going to do chair pose. So in chair pose, and this will be up to you, if you are someone who part of your practice is standing, you're not going to come up to a full stand. I'll turn sideways so you can see how I'm doing it. But we're going to press into our thighs. If you have a block or a strap, you can use that. It's kind of nice. It gives your body feedback. If you feel your legs are weak, it might make you feel a little more stable. Now, you don't have to come out of your chair for this. You can stay in your chair. I'm going to use an exercise band just to tie mine together, just because it will be quicker. I love these TheraBands. They're very nice for lots of our practice. So I've got my block and my strap. You don't need one if you don't have one. You can just have your feet hip width apart. And what we're going to do is I'll turn sideways for a moment so you can see. So I'm going to take a deep inhale. I'm going to bring my arms forward. I'm going to press into my feet. I'm tightening my thighs. I'm squeezing my block. I'm coming up, and then I'm coming back down. So you're not coming really high. You are just coming high enough so that you can feel some activity in your thighs. However, you don't have to come out of your chair, because I want you to be safe. So you can feel all of the same work that we're doing just by leaning forward, pressing in, and just rocking a little bit as if you're going to come out, but you don't have to rise. A lot of the work that our body's doing is with your body being cantilevered, you're out in space. That's causing all these muscles to activate. Pressing into our legs as we try to rise is really helping to strengthen our thighs. We woke our feet up earlier so that they were ready for this. So let's try this 3 times. And again, remember, you don't have to rise. You can just rock back and forth. And I'll turn my chair sideways so it's more visible. So let's get started. Take an inhale, exhale, bring your arms up overhead, and you're gonna rise. And if you're not rising, you're just rocking back and forth. Try to do it as many times as works for you, and then come back and rest and breathe. And so it's a really good activity for our whole body. And it's a movement we use all day long if we think about it. So let's do that again. Take a deep inhale, bring our arms forward, press into your feet. Let's rock. If you're rising, you would rise and hold it, or you can rise and hold it and come down. But rocking is just as good. The key is to be safe. And then come back and relax and breathe. And then let's do this one more time. Take a deep inhale. Let's bring our arms up overhead. You're leaning forward, flat back, abdomen's engaged. You're pressing into your feet. You're rocking in your chair. Maybe you're coming up, but maybe not. You don't have to come up because that rocking is giving you just as much benefit as any other movement. And then come back and relax. And if you have any props, you can release them now. And breathe. And then let's just bring your feet a little bit wider than your chair and just rock them in and out, back and forth, just to release any tension we might have built up in our hips. And then we're going to go into number 4 pose. So if you've had a hip replacement or you've had, you have arthritis or any pain in the hip, we don't want you to have pain. There's going to be a sensation of stretching. It might be discomfort, but if it goes into pain, which, discomfort is like, oh, I feel it's like stretching more than I really like, but I can tell it's not causing me any pain, but pain is not good. So we'll give you some options for it. The full expression is, if you can, you're going to bring your right ankle up over your left knee. Now, if that is impossible due to knee or hip issues, you can always use your blocks. And if you need to stay on the floor, you just let this leg open up and rest on the outside of your foot. If you want it to be a little more challenging, you can use a couple of blocks, or if you have a step stool. And if you need to take less pressure off your hip, move the blocks forward. So you decide what's the right pose for you. And let's get our bodies situated. So either you're going to be on your knee, you're going to be on the floor, or perhaps on some type of prop, a chair, the blocks, whatever works best for you. And then let's pat this hip. So if the bent leg, you're patting that hip. Foot is flexed. You want the foot to be facing as if you were going to stand on a wall. You want it to make sure that foot is lined up with your thigh bone, or I'm sorry, your calf. Because so if your foot is like this, you're facing more towards the floor. My right hip is pretty, I have to lift my left hip up to get like this. But if I'm like this, my foot will be facing towards the wall. You are just somewhere in between, probably like me, where you can see my foot's a little bit towards the wall, a little bit towards the floor. Patting of your joint kind of helps those muscles to relax. Lets them know we're not going to ask them to do anything crazy. They don't have to tighten up to protect us. So let's get really tall. You're gonna take your hands to your hips. I want you to really think about you're hinging at the hips. So we're not rounding in with our upper body. I'm not rounding in. My chin is gonna stay up and I'm leaning forward from my hips. So you're leaning forward with a flat back and you go as far as you can while you're feeling that opening in your hips. So it may not, some people, it may not be very far. Other people, you're gonna see they're resting down on their leg. So once you find that right extension, you're going to make yourself comfortable. You could maybe bring your hands there, let your head rest on it. Keep this foot flexed to protect your knee. And we'll hold this for a count of 30. So 30, 29. Make sure you're breathing. 28, 27. And you can rock from side to side to find where it feels better or you have more transformation or less transformation. 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to inhale up with a flat back. Bring that knee in if that's a possibility. Maybe circle it out to the outside or circle it to the inside. If you can't lift your leg, you can always just rock back and forth. And then bring that foot to the earth, and we're going to switch sides. So let's draw our left leg in, give it a little hug, or draw in whichever leg you have not done yet, and then take that left ankle over your right knee. And again, be really conscious of not allowing that foot to sickle. You want that foot to stay in alignment so that we really are protecting our knees. And then I want you to pat or massage that hip joint so it starts to relax, because you might already feel some tension in your hip just from moving into this position. And remember, as always, you can have your foot on the floor, on blocks, on a chair. Foot can be close, foot can be far out, depending on the need of your hip or your knee, your particular body, what it needs today. So I'm just patting that hip, making it comfortable, just like you pat a baby when you hold it to soothe it. We're just soothing these muscles. And then you're going to take your hands to your hips, really tall through your torso. With a flat back, you're hinging at the hips. So you're leading with your heart. You find however far, you might only be up here. Somebody may be really low. You find where's right for you. Once you find the spot that's right for you, you can let your hands relax and make yourself comfortable. Let your head drape down. And we're going to hold this for a count of 30 again. So 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale with a flat back up to seated. Draw that knee in, give it a little hug. Let's circle it. Remember, if you can't lift your leg, just leave your foot on the floor and rock it in. But if you can lift your leg, you can circle to the outside and then circle to the inside. And then you can bring that foot down and breathe. And now we're going to move to the floor. So I'm going to give time for whoever is going to go to the floor, and I'm going to tell the people who are staying in the chair what we're going to do in the chair. And then I'll give cues for on the floor. So we're going to be on our hands and knees on the floor. Those of you who stay in the chair, when I say lift your right hand and your left foot, you're going to hang on to your chair with your left hand. You'll lift your right hand and you're going to lift your left leg. You know, as high as obviously is right for you. It might be down here, it may be here. You just lift as high as you can and then come down, because that is a balanced pose. Those of us who are on the floor will be doing something a little different, but it will be essentially working the same group of muscles. So we're going to come to the floor. We're on our hands and knees. You're going to stretch your right leg back and just rock a few times. And if you're in the chair, you can just extend your right leg forward. And then if you're on the floor, we're going to take our left hand forward. Now, if lifting your hand, we're going to keep our right foot grounded at first. Left hand is up. But if you feel unbalanced, you can always use your block that gives you that elevation and a little bit of support, or just move your hand a little bit further forward. What we're ultimately aiming for is, can we lift both the arm and the leg at the same time? So if you're in the chair now, lift your left arm and your right leg. And on the floor, you're lifting your left arm and your right leg if you can. We're breathing, and you're going to put your hands down, bring your knee back in, and just take your hips back. In the chair, just relax for a minute. And then come back to your hands and knee position. You're going to stretch your left leg back. And again, you decide if you can't lift your hand, you can use a block. You can just bring your hand a little bit more forward. I want you to feel balanced where you are. So just rock a little bit back and forth on your left foot. Those of you in the chair, bring your left foot, maybe just raise it up and down a little bit. And then let's lift our right arm and then our left leg. Now, if you find that the balance is difficult, you can always just keep touching down with that left foot, or leave the left foot on the ground, or leave the hand on the ground. You decide what's right for you. And breathe. Make sure your abdomen is tight. Bring your right hand back down, left knee in, and then just stretch back again. And we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're just stretching back to relax a moment, get your breath. In the chair, you can just fold forward over your thighs. And then come back to center. So again, you're going to stretch your right leg back, rock a few times. Then your left arm comes up and right arm comes up. And I'm going to join the chair people for a moment just to make sure that they're seeing what we're doing. So in the chair, it's your right leg up, left arm up. I'm hanging onto the chair for balance. Make sure you're breathing. And you bring both arms down. Then on the floor, we're going to switch sides. So now you're taking your left leg back, maybe rock a few times. Right arm will come forward and then bring it up. Left leg comes up. And in the chair, it's our left leg is up and our right arm is up. And breathe. And release that arm and leg. On the floor, you're going to child's pose. In the chair, you're just folding over your legs. Make sure your hands are grounded down somewhere. You can also just rest your elbows on your legs. Breathe. Come back to our hands and knees, and we're going to do this one more time. So stretching that right leg back. In the chair, you're stretching your right leg forward. And the floor, you're rocking back and forth on those toes, waking up your foot before we go any further. In the chair, you might be lifting your leg up and down. Now let's take our left arm forward. Lift our left arm up, thumbs up. Lift your right leg up if that works for you. And then hold that. And breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your left arm down, right knee back, and then let's switch to the other side. So take that left leg back, rock on your toes a little bit, open up that foot. Bring your right hand forward just to let your body see what that balance is going to start to feel like. Then you're going to raise your right arm Raise that left leg if that works for you. In the chair, you're raising your left leg forward, right arm up for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your hands back to the earth. Take your knees as wide as they can go. So you're going as wide as you can go with your knees, and you're bringing your bottom down to your feet or as close as it will come, and go to child's pose. So from the side, it will look like this. You're in the chair. Again, child's pose is just resting over your legs or bringing your forearms to your knees, letting your head relax and breathe. And then come back to center. So on the floor, what we're going to do is you are on your hands and knees. We're going to take our right knee forward. So from the side, it will look like this. We take we're in our hands and knees pose. Our right knee comes as far forward as it can, and you're stretching that left leg back. You can be on your toes, or you can be with the top of your foot. And we're working on stretching our hip flexor. So once you're here, you're going to get as tall as you can in this pose. If you're in the chair, you are going to turn to your right, and you're going to let your left leg drape off the chair. You're hanging onto the back of your chair and perhaps extending your foot back as far as is right for you. Those of you on the floor, you've been there a while. You can let your body just relax down over that front bent knee and breathe. In the chair, you're going to just release that pose when you need to, and then come back into it if you can. On the floor, come back up. Come back to your hands and knees, and then we're going to switch legs. So your left knee is coming forward, right leg is going back. You get as tall as you can for a few breaths, and then you're going to settle down and rest over your leg. And those in the chair, I think we were facing the right last time, so you're going to come over and take the opposite leg down, and then again, I've kind of run out of room here, but you're going to extend back so that you can extend your hip flexor. So you want to make sure that you're doing a little bit of a lunge. But for some people, this might be enough stretch. Others are going to go really far back. So whatever's right for your body. And breathe. And then on the floor, you can bring yourself back out. Just come down to your hip. Bring that right foot forward. If you find that when you're seated on the floor that you are, if your back is rounding like this, then sit up on either a block is nice or a blanket is nice. The more rounded your back is, the higher you want to sit on a prop. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take a twist now on the floor, but we're going to do this with straight legs. So I'm going to take my right foot forward, and my left knee is going to be elevated. So I draw my left foot in as close as I can to my body. Right foot is flexed. Going to get really tall, raise my right hand up, turn towards my left, and wrap my right arm around that bent knee, and then reach my left arm behind me and breathe. Those of you in the chair, you're just sitting up. You're going to raise your right arm up. You're going to turn towards the left. Take your right hand outside your left knee, and your left hand will go behind you towards the right side of your chair, and twist and breathe. And it's good to hold poses for a while. It helps your body relax into it. Sometimes it can seem like, oh, she's holding this way too long. It's not my favorite pose. But twists are really good. Helps your body with elimination, helps to make things move more easily. Then you can release the twist. Those in the chair, you're going to raise your left arm up, turn towards your right, take that left hand outside your right thigh, right hand behind you. And on the floor, we're going to switch legs. So your left leg is straight now. Right knee is pulled in as close as you can. Left arm goes up. You turn to the right. It's kind of nice to lean back. I have a little bit of a belly. I lean back, make room for my belly, wrap my left arm around my right knee, take my right hand behind me. Sit really tall, keep that straight leg, foot flexed, and breathe. Maybe make a little smile with your face. And imagine that for every inhale, you get a little taller. Every exhale, you're twisting a little more. And then release that pose. Release both legs. If you're sitting on something, you can take that out because we are going to, again, work a little bit on our hips and our ability. This will help with walking. So what you're going to do is, you may have done this in gym class, when you were a youngster, where you lift your right hip and you move forward. I like to take my hands out in front of me. I feel like it gives me that momentum. Left hip up and move forward. Right hip up and move forward. I'll show it from the side. And we're going to do the same thing in the chair. So I will show you that. So from the side, let's see, I'll get on the green mat, a little easier to see. Left hip up, right hip up, left hip up. So you're trying to move forward on your mat. And then once you get as far forward as you can, you're going to go backwards by lifting left and right hip. And on the chair, we're doing the same thing. We just won't have as much space to move forward. So you're sitting on your chair, you start at the back of your chair, arms are forward, you lift your hip, and you move forward as far as feels right to you for safety, and then you start to move back. And so do this and go slowly, but do this about 5 times back and forth. I'll join the floor people, doing a little more walking. If you're on carpet, it might be a little more difficult just because it may be grabbing onto your clothes. One more time, back and forth. Maybe take 5 seated walks forward and 5 seated walks back. In the chair, you're going to have to do what works for your chair. And then come back to center. Then let's keep our right foot forward. You're going to bend your left leg, but now your knee is going to be out towards the side. And again, if you feel like you are all bent up or you're leaning backwards, like I say, you can sit on a block even, because you want to sit on something that makes you feel more comfortable. If you sit on a block and your leg feels like it's hyperextending, put a little blanket under it. Or if you're sitting, you can sit on the blanket, you might not have that same sensation of hyperextension. So you get into this position. we're going to inhale our arms up overhead, and then we're going to bring our right hand down and we're going to stretch over to the left. I'm sorry, we're stretching over to the right. Left arm is going to the right. In the chair, you're going to extend your left leg, right knee is bent. You're going to take your right forearm to your right thigh, and you're going to extend your left arm over to the right. And breathe. And come back to center. You're keeping the legs in the same position. You're now going to, on the floor, take your left hand to the floor, extend your right arm up overhead and stretch to the left. In the chair, you're keeping the same position. So you're this way, but what we're doing is we're doing a reverse. So the left arm down the straight leg, right arm up overhead, stretch and breathe. Make sure you're breathing. Maybe a little smile comes to the corner of your mouth. Your back is straight. Don't be leaning forward, whether you're in the chair or you're on the floor. And inhale back to center. And we're going to change legs. So you're going to extend your left leg if you're on the floor. And then you're bringing in your right foot as close to your groin as you can. And that will rest against your thigh. And then we're going to get really tall through our body. Take our right arm. We're going to take our right arm down to the right side. Our left arm will go overhead towards the right. So this is a pose on the floor. You're leaning away from your straight leg. In the chair, we're going to change leg positions now. We're going to have our left knee is bent, right leg is out straight, taking your left forearm to your left thigh, and you're going to stretch overhead and breathe. And find the ease and effort. You want to find the joy in this pose. It was this way, sorry. And come back to center. And then we're going to lean towards the other side toe. Left hand down, right arm comes overhead when you're on the floor. So again, this is the floor. Foot is flexed. And in the chair, you're going to lean away from you. So your right hand goes down the straight leg, left arm is extending towards the right in the chair. And breathe. And then you can release the pose and come back to center. If you have a strap, we can use the strap now. What we're going to do is on the floor, and if you don't have a strap, I'll demonstrate, and then I'll show you what to do in the chair. So on the floor, you're going to come back onto your back. Left knee is bent. You're going to put the strap around your right foot. If you're using a strap, keep that knee bent. Draw that thigh towards you. Head is on the floor, and then you're going to extend that leg as far as you can. If you want more flexibility, you can straighten that left leg if that works for you, but you may find it feels more comfortable to keep that left leg bent. If you don't have a strap, you draw that left leg in, take your hands behind draw your right leg in, take your hands behind your right thigh, start to straighten your foot towards the ceiling as you press your thigh into your hands, and your hands are pressing into your thigh. So from the side, it looks like this. in the chair, if you have your strap, you would use a strap that helps you give that elevation to the leg. Shoulders are back. If you don't have a strap, again, you put your thighs, you interlace them behind your thigh, your hands together, and you extend that leg and breathe. And you're gonna have to let it down when it feels right for you, because I'm moving a little bit from side to side, so it's hard to find how long I'm keeping you in each pose. So when you're ready, if you're on the floor, you can release that pose and we'll switch to the other side. So now I'll start the demo in the chair, but on the floor, remember, keep your right leg bent and you're taking the strap around your left leg or you're using your hands. So in the chair, right leg is bent, you're extending that left leg. You're either using your strap or you're taking your hands, clasping them behind your thigh and extending that leg, really pressing that foot forward and really pressing into your hands while your hands are pulling up on your leg. On the floor, I know you are all in this pose already, so probably don't need me to demo it, but I'm just going to anyways. Knee is, right leg is bent, left foot, remember you start by drawing that leg in and then extending, gives you a little more extension. And then if you want to, you can straighten that bent knee and breathe. Or if you have your hands behind your legs, and then when you're ready, you can release that pose. Roll over to your side and bring yourself back up to seated on the floor. And we're gonna do butterfly pose. So again, I highly recommend, especially because butterfly pose is you're seated with your feet pressing together. If your knees are really, really high, that means you're really tight in your lower back. So it's better if you're sitting on something, because then your knees will be able to get lower towards the floor. And so you find that right position for you. The feet are pressing together. You're sitting upright. Shoulder blades are on your back, but there is body tension. You are activating these muscles, but you're not squeezing them, and you're not like in a military pose. You're just activating them, so you're sitting nice and erect. There's a little engagement in your core, but when you're breathing, you're still letting your abdomen come in and out. If you're in the chair, you're sitting more towards the front of your chair, and you might be with your legs on your feet on the floor. You're on the outside of your feet. Your feet are touching, the bottom of your feet are touching. If you want to make it more challenging, that's when you would use your blocks and bring the floor up to you. Or if you have a second chair in front of you, that will let you get higher. If you're really flexible, you can also, some people can bring their feet to the chair, but you got to find the right spot for you. Again, if you've had hip replacement or knee replacement, this might be too big of an angle for you. If you have a second chair or you have blocks, you just bring the blocks further away from you so that you're not making as big of an angle for those hip joints. Same with on the floor. If you find it's too hard on your joints, you have to move your feet out. You just experiment with, where's that right spot for my feet to be so that I can get the benefit of the pose. And we breathe here. So let's hold this for about 45 seconds. I know some people have been in it longer. If you think you've been in it too long, or if your legs are feeling stressed, remember you can also support your legs too. If you have blocks, you can put those under your legs to help take some of the weight of your legs off. But this is a nice position, again, to stretch those inner thighs. And breathe. And then while we're here, let's do a few cat-cows. So we're going to inhale, and you might find the movement isn't as big as when you're in this pose, or if you think you've had enough of being in this particular pose, remember you can come into cross-legged pose when you're ready. You can release it. And we're going to do a few seated cat-cows in the chair. You can still stay in the butterfly position, or you can release the butterfly position if you've decided you've had enough. And let's inhale, heart to the sky. Exhale, round in. Inhale, heart to the sky. Exhale, round in. Inhale, heart to the sky. Exhale, round in. Inhale, heart to the sky. If you're seated on the floor, I want you to take your hands behind you so you are able to do a nice back bend. So on the floor, you're taking your hands behind you. Your elbows will bend a little bit as you open up your heart to the sky. And in the chair, you're going to release butterfly pose if you haven't, and hang on to the back of your chair and just lean your heart forward. And you're hanging onto the chair so you have a nice back bend.
Kathy, I just want to remind everyone, because it's getting close to time, that Sunday there's exercise classes with Tori at 2 p.m. So just a reminder before everyone starts jumping off to come on out and exercise on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you. And then you can release that pose. And then let's make ourselves ready for Shavasana. And Shavasana is really an important pose. Some people think, oh, well, that's just resting. I don't want to rest. But really, it's a nice way for your body to relax and release any tension you created. So if you're going to be on the floor, this would be the time to lay on the floor. If you're going to stay in your chair. So if you're on the floor, make yourself comfortable, and then you lean back and cover up. If that feels good, palms open. In the chair, I'll take my Shavasana in the chair. You're just going to make yourself comfortable in a seated position. Maybe cover up if it's cold. Make sure, rock a little bit, make sure you feel comfortable. Make your arms comfortable. Sometimes it's nice to have a block or a bolster or a pillow under your arms. Close your eyes and breathe. Release any tension you feel in your forehead, your scalp, your face. See if you can create a little opening between your teeth to release any tension you have in your jaw. And if you can't create that opening or it doesn't feel natural, just let the tip of your tongue touch the roof of your mouth, and that can help create that opening for you. Relax your shoulders, just visibly feel the relaxation, just allowing your shoulders to drape towards the earth. Notice any tension in your arms and your hands. And imagine that tension just draining towards the earth. Any tension in your back, the front of your body, your hips. Let that tension release into the earth. Your legs, your feet. Imagine your body getting really heavy as it presses against its support. And then imagine your lightness of being rising up, and this bright white light surrounding you and sending healing vibrations towards your body. and breathe. And start to deepen your breath, bringing movement to your fingers, your wrists, your ankles, and your feet. If you're seated in a chair, sit a little more upright. If you're on the floor, bring yourself to a seated position. Let's inhale, bring our arms up overhead. Deep inhale, exhale loudly through your mouth. Palms together through heart center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. The light in me honors and reflects that light that shines so bright in each of you. Namaste.
Namaste.